Howdy, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Dimafar and today we're going to talk about tag questions. So firstly, what are tags? Tags are short additions that look like either questions, statements, or imperatives that we add to a clause to get a response from the listener. We check if the listener agrees with what we have said. There is a tip. Tags are very common in spoken English, but not in formal written English. We add tags to the end of a statement if the verb of our sentence is the auxiliary verb be or have or modal, then we use them as the verb in the tag. Generally, if the first part of the sentence is positive, the tag will be negative and vice versa. Let's have some examples. She is really angry, isn't she? So here we use tags. This part is called tag and this is our statement. Another example, we can say he can't sing. He can't sing. Can he? Again, our statement, our tag. So when our statement is positive, we use a negative tag, and when it's negative, we use a positive tag. In negative tags, the contracted form is normally used. For example, if we say, is not he, rather than isn't he, we've made a mistake. This is completely wrong, okay? So we always should use, for example, aren't I, aren't they, or like wouldn't, couldn't. Use apostrophes in this form is called contracted form. But here you have no apostrophe, so it's wrong. There are some types for tag questions. Question tags, statement tags, imperative tags, and universal tags. Question tags. They're like mini questions that come at the end of a sentence. We use tag questions to invite a response from the listener. They are very common in spoken English. The basic structure of a tag question is positive statement plus negative tag or negative statement plus positive tag. We can say he is an actor. He's an actor, isn't he? So here, isn't he? We're asking our listeners to respond to us. He's an actor, isn't he? As you say, yes, he is, or no, he isn't. And answers like that. But if you use some negative adverbs like, let me write it here. For example, like never, rarely, are, rarely, seldom, hardly, let me write it here. Hardly or barely, and others also scarcely. These all adverbs make the sentence negative. For example, if I say I barely speak Spanish. Let's make it to you. You barely speak Spanish, do you? What's happening here is positive, and it's positive as well. No. Here you have a negative adverb, so our statement will be negative. When we use a negative statement, we have to use a positive tag. So when we use barely, scarcely, rarely, seldom, never, hardly, barely, and others, in order to make our sentence negative with those negative adverbs, we have to use a positive tag. Let's have some examples. She never wanted a car. She never wanted a car. She never wanted a car, did she? It means we said she didn't want a car, did she? But we use she never wanted to emphasize. Also, let me say something. In tag questions, we can use inversion. What is inversion? Inversion, we want to change the order of words. For example, the same sentence, never did she want a car, did she? It's full of emphasis. Never did she want means she never wanted a car. It's inversion. I will make a video about inversion in like a week or more than a week. So I'll talk about it in our next video. But here, never did she want a car means she never wanted a car. What's that question? Did she? All right, let's go down here. Three's tag questions type 2 is something very uncommon, but people use it. For example, we say, you're Jack's brother. Typically, we should use aren't you? You're Jack's brother, aren't you? But you can use are you here as well. Why? Use this structure, okay? When we are not sure whether the answer is yes or no, and the intonation is usually the right thing. You're Jack's brother, are you? So we don't know the answer. We don't know who the guy is. Jack's brother or not. So we just use it. Well, but it's not very common in spoken English. For the to-be verb am, or am, the tag question can be aren't I. Let me write it again. Aren't I, or am I not? But this one is very common. For example, we say, I'm here now, aren't I? We can say, let me go down. For example, I'm here, or for example now, am I not? But the first one is very common, but we rarely use am I not. But it's still true. So used to, when we use used to, depending on the tense. The negative tag can be don't or didn't. For example, I used to play basketball. Don't I? He uses to play basketball. Doesn't he? Or he used to go to school. Didn't he? For ought to, which means should, tag question will be shouldn't. We don't have oughtn't. There's no such a thing. Ought to equals to should, so the tag will be shouldn't. He ought to call Mary, shouldn't he? And if our sentence have let's, for example, we say let's watch a movie. Let's watch a movie. Use shall we. Okay? Use shall we. Let's watch a movie. Shall we? If the main verb of the sentence is have got, for example, he has got a car, the tag question will be hasn't he? He has got a car, hasn't he? With the question mark. If the sentence begins with there is, there are, the tag question is also constructed with be plus there. For example, there aren't any cookies. Any cookies left, for example. Here the tag question will be are there? There aren't any cookies left, are there? And if the sentence begins with this or that plus be, the tag is constructed with be plus it. This is Sally's dog. This is Sally's dog. Isn't it? So for this or that we use it. For there we use there still. Has got we said hasn't. For let's then shall we. For ought to use shouldn't. For used to use don't. Depending on the tense, used to, didn't, uses to, doesn't, used to, don't. The most important factor in using tag questions is the intonation. Okay? Writing intonation is for a real question. We say, you don't know. You don't know where he is. You don't know where he is. Do you? You don't know where he is, do you? You rise or intonation. What about falling intonation? Well, it's not a real question. For example, we say, it's nice. It's a nice day. It's a beautiful day, isn't it? We say it's a nice day, isn't it? It's a nice day, isn't it? It's a nice day, isn't it? We're just following our intonation. These are for statement tags. When we know the answer and we're just emphasizing in our statement clause. But what about imperatives? Imperative tag soften the tone of the imperative sentences. The verb in the tag is most commonly will, but we can also use would, could, can, and won't. We use won't for invitations and We use can, can't, will, would for orders. For example, close the door. You should say, will you? Close the door, will you? Close the door, will you? Wait here a moment, would you? Depending on how polite you want to be. And the last one, universal tags. As mentioned earlier, tags are used in normal English. However, there is another more informal way for question tags, and it's using these words. Right, yes, yeah, yeah, and no. In a very informal situation instead of question tags. For example, we say, he's not playing tonight, right? He is not playing tonight, right? He's not playing tonight, isn't he? Rather than using isn't he, we can just use right or uh, yeah, yes, and etc. And how we should respond and answer the question tags. We should answer or reply, respond with yes or no, or by repeating the tag question and reversing it. For example, he doesn't work here, does he? We should say yes, he does, or yes, he works here. Let me just write it. He doesn't work here. Doesn't work here. He doesn't work here, does he? So let's just answer these questions. For example, plus negative says yes, he does. Or just yes, or yes, he works here. Is R. Let me just fix it. Yes, he works here. Yes, he does. Yes. Or I don't know. Yes, he works here. And for no, for example, say they are your parents, aren't they? You can say no, no, they're not, or just no, no, they're not my parents. So let me just take a quick review. In tag questions, yeah, that's good. We have four kinds and four types of tag questions. It's question tags, statement tags, universal tag, and imperative tags. Imperative tags. Alright, thanks for watching this video. If you found it useful, please just subscribe to my channel and see you on next classes. Bye.